Hey everyone, welcome to Code Harmony. Today we are going to solve LeetCode problem ID 2965. Find missing and repeated values. It's an easy question and has been asked in companies like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Bloomberg. Let's have a look on the problem statement. We are given 0 index 2D integer matrix grid of size n cross n with values in the range from 1 to n square. Grid is of size n cross n. How many values will be there? N square. And the values are also from 1 to n square. They are saying that each integer appear exactly once except a, which appear twice, and b, which is missing. This is the condition that is given to us. And our task is to find the repeating and missing number a and b. What is this line? Return a 0 index integer array nums of size 2 where answer 0 is equal to a, answer 1 is equal to b. Okay. Let's say if I take a 2 cross 2 grid. 2 cross 2 grid, how many elements will be there? 4 elements will be there, and elements should be from 1, 2, 3, 4. But when we see the grid, they are saying that one element is repeated. One element, each element exactly once except a. A is getting repeated. So a is coming twice. Let's say a is coming twice. And b is missing. B is missing from this. And the other elements are like this. 3 and 4. So in this case, if I consider a as 1, 1, 1, 3, 4. If these values are filled in this array, 1, 1, 3, 4. In this matrix, there is one element a which is coming twice and b which is missing. So a will be 1 and b will be 2 in this case. So these values we have to find out. And what we have to return is, return the first element, second element, and in the form of array. We can return in the form of array. So this is our problem statement. Given is a grid of n cross n size and the elements are from 1 to n square. And there is one element which is getting repeated, that is a, and one element which is not present, missing, that is b. So find a and b. Now let's have a look on the example. In this example, this matrix is of size 3 cross 3. It means there are 9 elements from 1 to 9. These are the expected items from this grid. But as we have a look, I can see here that 9 is coming twice. So a is definitely 9. Because a is the element which is not appearing exactly once. Appearing twice. What about b? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is not present. 5 is not present, it means b is 5. So these two values we have to find out. Now I hope the problem statement is clear to you, and let's have a discussion over the approaches. First of all, I'm already aware that my items are going to be from this range 1 to 9. If items are going to be from 1 to 9, I can easily use a hash function or use hash table. Let's say my value of n is 10. If I have a look on the constraints, in the constraints, value of n is going till 50. Till 50 means 2500 size array we can take as a hash function. So that's comfortable. If grid size is 10 cross 10, we have 100 items and the items will be from 1 to 100. These values I can check. I can maintain it as a hash mapping with the array of size. Let's say size is 101. So there are elements with indices like 0 to 100. Correct? In simple terms, what I'm saying is that if value of n is, let's say 5, the grid is going to have 5 cross 5 elements. If for 5 cross 5 elements, the elements values will be from 1 to 25. If it is 1 to 25, I can capture the frequency of each element and map it to the hash table or array data structure. If I take an array of size 26, the indices value will go from 0 to 25, and I can easily map these values. One is coming one time, so yeah, right here. And if from all of these values, one value will be 2 with frequency 2 and one value will be with frequency 0. So this is my A and B. I can easily figure out this value. I'm not explaining you the hashing structure in this problem. So hashing is something we are mapping key to the value. And in this case, my key is the item value, number. And what is the value? Value is the frequency of that number. How many times this number is coming in the grid? A should be coming 2 times, B should be coming 0 times. So this is the hashing approach which we are not going to implement because we have one better approach. In this case, what will be the time complexity and space complexity? Let's have a discussion over that. Time is, we are visiting every node only once. So to visit every node in this grid, how much time do we require? N cross n. Order of n cross n time to visit this grid. And after visiting this grid, I am storing the frequency in a hash table. And hash table is also of size n cross n. So time complexity is definitely n cross n. And space complexity is n cross n time to fill the hash table. And other n cross n is to see, to capture. What is that element where that is appearing only like n cross n time to figure out the element which is appearing 2 times or not at all appearing. So as a conclusion, time complexity will be visiting every item in the grid, n square in this case, and space complexity is also n square. So this was our first approach. This approach is going to be using mathematics. Let me simplify this approach to you. See, you must be remembering a couple of formulas from your mathematics subject. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. What is this? Sum of first n natural numbers. This is equal to 5 into 5 plus 1 by 2. It means if the value is going till n, it will be equal to n into n plus 1 by 2. Correct? And now let's have a look on the sum of squares of these numbers. Sum of squares of first n natural number is equal to n into n plus 1 to n plus 1 by 6. This is the formula to find the sum of first n natural square of first n natural numbers, right? And as per the statement, our grid is of size n cross n. How many elements are there? Elements are from 1 to n square. So in this case, our n itself is n square. Let's say this n square I am writing as capital N, and this whole number of elements in the grid is capital N. So elements will go from 1 to n, both inclusive. So now in this case, sum of first n natural number 1 plus 2 plus 3 till n is n capital N into n plus 1 divided by 2. This you can consider as our first formula. This is just a formula. Okay. And now 1 square plus 2 square plus 3 square and so on till n square. The value will be n into n plus 1 to n plus 1 divided by 6. This is the second formula. See, we are expected to have these values. But in reality, we don't have these values. We have one number repeated and one number missing. If the value of n is 4, small n is 2, let's say small n is 2, grid size is 2 cross 2, capital N is 4. If the value of n is 4, elements will be 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the expected situation. And now what is the actual state? Actual state might be looking like this: 1, 2, 2, 4. In this case, you can say one element is repeating and one element is missing. Now in this case, let's say the repeating element is x and missing element is y. Now if I do one thing, if I take sum of all of these values, let's say this is expected sum and this is actual sum. Expected sum, actual sum. And if I subtract this value, actual sum minus if expected sum, that is going to be like 1 got cancelled, 2 got cancelled, 4 got cancelled, x minus y. X minus y is equal to actual sum minus expected sum. Are you able to understand this statement? Like see, expected sum is sum of first and natural number, because our values are going from 1 to n. And in the actual one, the value is going from 1 to n, but 1 is repeated and 1 is missing. So if let's say the x is the one which is repeated, y is the one which is missing, then this will be my first equation. And now what is the actual sum? Actual sum is sum of all the numbers in the grid from I equal to 0 to, I will be 0 to n and j will be 0 to n square time. Actual sum is like iterating over the grid. Grid is something like this: 1, 2, 2, 4. Sum of all the numbers from the grid is actual sum. What is expected sum? Expected sum is n into n plus 1 by 2, the formula that we discussed earlier. Sum of first n natural numbers. So using this formula and just doing the iteration, we are able to figure out this value. And this value is something we already know. If I just call it difference of sum, then x minus y will be equal to difference of sum, ds. I'm just doing my own naming, ds. Let's say ds is something as minus es, because it is a constant. And consider it as a first statement. Now you have two variables. First variable is x, second variable is y, and one constant is ds, difference of sum. Difference of actual sum in expected sum. Two variables and one equation. We can't find this. We can't find these two variables. To solve two variables, we must require two equations. Number of equations should be greater than or equal to number of variables. So now this is the first equation. Now we have to derive second equation as well. For the second equation, what I can do is, if let's say value of n was 2 and from 2 cross 2 is 4, 4 is my capital N, expected values are 1, 2, 3, 4. If I just take the square of these four values, it will be equal to n into n plus 1 to n plus 1 by 6, where n is 4, right? And what is this is expected. And what is the actual one? Actual one is 1 square, 2 square, 2 square. I am assuming that this is the situation given to us. 4 square. This is my actual sum of squares. Let's call it expected sum of squares. This you can figure out, right? And this you can figure out. How you can figure out this? Just do the iteration on every single character, every single item in the grid. And now if I just apply the same thing, actual minus expected, I am naming it actual sum of squares minus expected sum of squares. What this is equal to? Let's say this is the repeating value. Repeating value will be coming one time. Let's call it x square. And subtracting missing value. So this will be the condition for the second. This will be our second condition. And now this is the constant one. If I just write it something like this, difference of sum of squares is equal to x square minus y square. And now let me know what is the value of this one, x square minus y square. Do you remember a formula that is a square minus b square? A square by minus b square is equal to a plus b into a minus b. This is the formula from mathematics that we should be knowing. And if I just apply this formula to this equation will look like this. X plus y into x minus y is equal to difference of sums of squares. Now this is the equation, and now this is my first equation. First equation is where x minus y is ds. X minus y is equal to ds. And now if I divide this equation by the second equation, it will look like this. X plus y is equal to ds2 divided by ds. Now ignore everything so far and consider these two as your final equations. X minus y is equal to ds. X plus y is equal to difference of sum of squares divided by difference of sum. If I just do equation 1 plus equation 2, it will look like this. 2x plus y minus y, it will cancel out. 2x is equal to ds2 divided by ds plus ds, right? And then if I just move this 2 to here, it will be like this. Value of x will become ds2 divided by ds plus ds into 1 by 2. This is the value of x. Now in this equation, you know the value of ds2, you know the value of ds, you know the value of ds, and you can easily find your value of x. Correct? And what about y? For y, I think we have to subtract 2 minus 1. If I do equation number 2 minus equation number 1, it will be equal to y. Y is equal to ds2 divided by ds minus ds into 1 by 2, right? If we do like this, we will be able to get y as well. Now these are our final equations. ds2 divided by ds minus ds or plus ds. Using this, we can easily figure out x and y. And what were our x and y? X is a from the problem statement. This is b from the problem statement. And we are able to figure out a and b. So what are all the things that we require? What we require is actual sum of squares and sum of actual sum, right? And to figure out actual sum of squares and actual sum, I will write the for loop. I pointer will go from 0 to n. This is for every row. And j will go from 0 to n. And this is for every column. And actual sum plus equal to I and j. Actual sum of square plus equal to ij into ij square, right? So this is how we can figure out actual sum of squares, actual sum of these values. And what about these values? Expected sum of squares and expected sum. For this, we can utilize this formula. We already know the value of n. N is the size of the grid. N cross n is the size of the grid. So we can easily find that n into n plus 1 divided by 2 is my expected sum. N into n plus 1 2n plus 1 divided by 6 is my expected sum of squares. So these steps you have to follow, and after following these steps you will be having the value of actual sum of squares, expected sum of squares. And this is the final formula, ds2 and ds. So what is ds2 and ds? ds2 and ds is this value, as2 minus es2 and as minus es. Difference of sum of square, actual sum minus expected sum is equal to ds. So these are two values. These two values, once we get these two values, we can apply these formulas to get the answer. Now what is the time and space complexity? Now this is order of one operation, and this is order of one operation. This is also order of one operation, and this for loop is order of n square operation, because we are visiting every single cell in the grid. And apart from that, do I require any extra storage apart from these four variables? No. The time complexity will be order of n square, and the space complexity will be order of 1 using mathematics. This is the approach. And this is n square. This looks like quadratic, but actually it is linear, growing with the input size. Our input itself is n square. Okay, I hope you understood this approach. Now let's have a look on the code. Now this is the code. Code is not at all difficult. First, once you understand the description on how we have derived our values. So first of all, computing sum and the square sum. This I can do while by doing the iteration over the grid. I'm doing the iteration over the grid, every row, every column, actual sum and actual sum of squares. After that, what is the expected sum? N into n plus 1 by 2. Expected sum of squares, n into n plus 1 into 2n plus 1 divided by 6. So once we have these four variables, and using these four variables, I can figure out sum gap and square sum gap. Square sum gap is gap between the squares. Sum gap is actual sum minus expected sum. These two values we have got, and now we can just apply our formula. These two formulas we derived in the discussion section, and then put these two values in the answer array. Make sure that you put the duplicate first, because it is expected like this. Answer 0 is equal to the A, which is getting repeated, and B is the missing one. This was the code for this approach. Now if in case you get any doubt, you can just have a discussion in the comment section below. Thank you guys. Bye bye.